Welcome back to Noise Avocation Podcast. I'm Ryan here with Jeremy as always.
Yo.
If you like that song, that was Plagued by Cold Case BHC. They're a Boston hardcore band that we're going to talk with the guitar player Jason here shortly. But before we get into that, a couple things. Friday night, we did an Instagram live with Chubby Fresh from One Life Crew, which was a lot of fun. So if you're listening now and you were in there, jumped in and said what's up, we appreciate it.
What's up?
We are going to start doing that more often. Trying to, for sure, do Fridays, but then probably just some random nights whenever we feel like it too. So if you're following us on Instagram, turn your notifications on if you want to jump in those. Or if you don't want to see it, then turn them off, I guess. But follow us on Instagram at Noise Avocation for sure, if you are not already. One other thing before we jump into the interview, we did the discussion with Blast Beats Vinyl a while back, and for anybody who hasn't checked out the site yet, hasn't ordered anything, if you go to the site now, which will be linked in the episode description, and use the promo code NOISE, you will get 10% off your first order. Definitely check them out, follow them on Instagram. They always have a ton of cool shit coming in. I think he does new drops like every Tuesday, it seems like, or every other Tuesday,
and it's
maybe.
The customer service and the packaging, and it's all around, like, dude, totally awesome. So
yeah,
definitely use that fucking 10% off.
Yeah, you always get like stickers, like a little thank you card. I think he even said like you can request to have your packaging or your package videoed of them packaging. That was a tongue tire there. But yeah, definitely check them out. Use our promo code and enjoy the episode. All right, Jason from Cold Case, thanks for jumping on the show. We appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so you play guitar in the band, correct?
Yes, yeah. I basically am the founding member and guitarist, so I pieced it together.
Awesome. Well, I guess we'll start first and foremost, like, how did you get the idea to piece the band together? I know that you've been in some bands prior to.
Yeah, so I got into the scene or discovered, hardcore metal music when I was 14, middle school. I never looked back. was crazy because I was always like huge into sports. I was like a really big athlete in school, but I just couldn't really relate to what some of those kids were kind of how they were. So when I discovered music and what was going on with that, it felt like so raw, and I was like, oh, I love this shit. So I kind of like divided my time between sports and music, and the music has always stuck with me through. So I made bands all the way through. The last band I made was Empire in my late 20s, and that band took off and it was fun, and had to shut it down before the pandemic. Missed it. I ended up getting married and was just kind of doing regular stuff. My wife is amazing, and I was telling her like, hey, I used to play music. I kind of want to start back up. And she's, oh yeah, you should. So for my birthday, she bought me a new guitar head. For Christmas, she bought me like $1,000 ESP or whatever, and was like, go do it. And I was like, oh, okay. So
What
I
kind
just
of head did she
started.
buy you?
I got an orange. I was sick of tube heads, so I was looking at the solid state,
Yeah.
and I was just chatting with her. So I got the orange Crush, I think, Super Crush or something
Damn,
like
dude,
that.
that's some nice shit.
Um,
It's a
yeah, and
good.
that
That's a
thing's
good wife, dude.
yeah, it's pretty ballsy. Yeah, she's awesome. She just like, and it wasn't like I was like, oh, please get this for me. I was just talking to her about it, and she's like, oh, I'll
Right.
take care of you. And
Fuck yeah.
halfway through, found out she was pregnant, so she was like, just go full speed ahead until the baby comes, and then we'll slow down or whatever. Because I am responsible. I have a good career. I take care of her. She does the same. She takes care of me. So we got that mutual respect. So like if someone wants to do something or it means a lot to someone, we try and support each other. So it's been amazing. Her name is Marilyn. She's awesome.
Shout
And
out to her, man. She sounds like a fucking down ass girl.
yeah, she's 100% like ride or die. That's
Yep.
as they say. So anyway, I started kind of just fucking around at my house, making a style, and I ended up getting more towards like the hardcore style because I tried to like put myself in a box just to get a style and then expand within that box. So I picked Hatebreed, First Blood, and Recon as like influences. And then I was like, all right, let's see what I can do within this. So I was like, I'll tune the drop C because it's a little bit tighter, a little bit sharper than A, which I was playing in before. And then all of a sudden I started getting this like tone that I really appreciated. I started getting a little bit more melodic and putting the pieces together. And I had a drummer that had reached out to me before the pandemic, Pat Azola. He's been in certain bands. One of them he was in was Burden, which was back in the day. There's a bunch of Burdens, but he was in a Burden out of Brockton. He was in this band, Born from Demise, which changed into Opposition. You've probably seen them floating around, maybe. So he was in that band. And anyway, we started piecing that together. We put, 4 or 5 songs together. And then my brother hit me up during that time and was like, let me sing on this. I've always wanted to sing. And this is his first project. So I was like, wasn't hesitant. I was kind of hesitant at first because, brothers, like, although we get along, you can clash. And I didn't want to have like a rift or whatever. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. So, because I believe in him, he's talented. He just hadn't had time to, show his stuff. But
this was the
he's
first
really good.
time that he got to sing with a band then?
Yeah, this was his very first project. And he came in and just killed it. And so we recorded the EP before like September before 2023, finished it up in October. And then it had to get mastered, and then we released it in January of 23, which is the Beyond Recognition EP. And basically I recorded both guitars and bass on that, and then we did Pat did the drums, Eric did the vocals, and we recorded that at the drums at Blackheart Sound with Eric Sauter. That's out in New Hampshire. And then we did all the guitars, vocals, and everything else with Ryan Stack, who's out of Western Mass. And well, actually, no, it's not Western Mass. Sorry, it's Amesbury, which is like further up north near New Hampshire. So we cleaned that up, did that, and then I found members because basically I kind of like just people heard it and were like, oh, what are you doing with that? And I was able to grab a few people. And that was Jared. He plays bass. He's the guitarist in this band, Give Up Hope. And then my friend Nick, who I know from, we train Muay Thai for a long time together. He was a pro MMA fighter,
Nice.
and he was a coach. Yeah, he was like one of my coaches, and I grabbed him, and he was down. So it just kind of all fit together with like a lot of people that I trust, and that's kind of how we all meshed. So it was basically me chatting with my wife and her being like, go do it. And then my brother encouraging me, and then having some people in the background, like some friends from the scene. And that's kind of how it all came together. It just gradually kind of started quietly and then kind of exploded.
It's cool to have that support from all different angles, because I know, like, I've witnessed marriages where they're like, yeah, you're married now, you ain't playing in a band, or like you got a kid now, you're not playing in a band, and just like your whole lifeline's cut off, where they're like, this is it, like I'm your life now.
Yeah. Well,
which to a certain degree should be that way, but there should be like balance, you know, like people shouldn't give up who they are in a relationship.
Exactly. And it definitely is. Like, we definitely have a more relaxed schedule with the band because of that. But at the same time, you know, we are able to live a little and play music. And we're not trying to do it to be superstars. Like, you know, we don't have the big, like, we're not looking at it like, oh, we're going to be famous someday. Like, you know, we're younger, like, because we know where we are. It's just more for like, we missed it. It's like a bunch of guys getting together just to, you know, blow off some steam and play some music and kind of show people, you know, what we got cooking and how we approach it. And that's about it, you know. And then if we get some opportunities along the way for what we can do, we'll do it. So that's kind of how we approach it.
People mention First Blood a lot lately as an influence.
Yeah.
Which is fucking cool.
So.
Yeah. And it just made me think, man, I forgot that at our local bowling alley, we used to have First Blood on the fucking jukebox in that place.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
California was on there, man. Isn't that fucking strange?
That is strange, considering if you went to our bowling alley, you would never expect that.
No.
I think that guy lives in Germany, supposedly, the singer.
The singer,
I think that, yeah. I don't know, but yeah, they're nasty. When, you know, as soon as because obviously I found out about them through Terror, because he used to be the bassist of Terror, I think, the singer.
Yeah, that's how I found out.
Yeah, and then I was just like, oh, this is nice when I heard it, and yeah, so I like, because they do incorporate like just the vocal patterns and how they always put emphasis on certain lines, and then, you know, how they always hit you with, like, everything just seems to hit right in that band. The way that they, especially on California, I mean, 2 of the songs off California were off their, I think it was 3 of them actually, but like Victim, Suffocate, and a couple other ones were off their 4-song EP that they did.
Yeah.
And that was the first one that I heard, and I was like, oh, this is kind of crazy. And at that time, I don't know how you guys feel, but I started off listening to kind of like death metal and some hardcore, and then I basically transitioned to hardcore. So the one thing that took me time to get used to was kind of like the hardcore vocal style, because I was like, oh, this sounds a little bit weaker, because I was used to the people growling and all kinds of stuff. So when I first heard it, I was slightly off-put by it, but then as I got further into hardcore, I preferred like the hardcore vocals, and I was like, this is awesome. So that was the only thing that I was really kind of not with at first, but then I was like, wow, they're doing some good stuff. And then now I love it. I love that guy's voice.
Yeah, we're both into death metal and all types of metal. So, like, I know I don't think so much anymore, really, but I remember there was a time where there was like a stigma with hardcore, where you were like, you can't listen to metal if you're listening to hardcore type of thing.
Yeah, it was kind of more divided when we were younger, it seemed like. But I don't know about you guys, but how old are you guys?
I'm 32.
I'm 38.
Okay, I'm 36. So there was this album that was floating around. Like, remember back when there was infomercials and stuff like that? There was do you remember that Hard and the Heavy album? Do you remember when that was like, it was like
an infomercial
like kind of like,
one?
Yeah, it was like a new metal. It had Slipknot. It had a bunch of stuff on it. So album.
Yeah.
I do
remember that. Yeah.
I probably didn't have cable.
Yeah.
Like, I'm serious.
So I was like, I was like 12 at the time, maybe. And I saw that and I was like, holy shit, I need to get this. Like, I didn't know like what that music was really. I only knew about, Korn and some, those type of bands.
Right.
And then that band had like Nothing Face, Slipknot, Fear Factory, Spine Shank, like all those like new metal alternative bands that were just a little bit heavier than the other stuff. So I got that, found Slipknot. Then from Slipknot, I found I don't know, like Hatebreed. Then I was listening to Dying Fetus, Skinless, Cryptopsy, Unearth, and like All That Remains. And those were kind of like my gateway bands. And then from there, I just kind of took off. But yeah, Slipknot was definitely my gateway. That album was like a sampler, get me to where I had to be. And then from there, I was like, holy crap, I didn't even know like any of this existed. And it just stuck with me. So yeah.
Well, I think since Slipknot got to where they are now and their music has changed so much, like I think they catch a bad rep. But like in the early 2000s, that shit was incredibly groundbreaking for what they did for their first few albums.
Yeah, it was just really weird too, like because they had a lot of samples and sounds. It was theatrical almost, you know?
It was something that like I think people didn't really expect it to go anywhere, but honestly, I think like Slipknot is the later generation's Metallica almost, like as far as popularity goes.
100%. And with that album that they did before, well, they just released one, but there was that one that they got nominated for. Or they hit the charts with. I forget what it was, but it was like 2 years ago.
Came out.
Not the recent one, but it was like 2020, 2019. It came out, I think. I forget what it was, what the name is. It's like,
was it the Flood one?
Mind. Huh?
The Flood?
I think it was We Are Not Your Kind.
Oh, yeah. I'm not.
It might be that one. Yeah, yeah. So that one kind of like revived them too, because some more mainstream people getting into them. Because I saw them recently, and there was a little bit of a different crowd. So that was kind of cool to see. So.
Yeah, I haven't followed the band in a while, but like those earlier albums, even to this day, I still throw them on sometimes. Like not very often, just because I'm always listening to so much different stuff. But once in a while, I get like a nostalgic feeling, and I'll throw that on just to feel like I'm 12 again.
That's actually how I met my wife. We met on a Match, and she was like, "I'm gonna go see Slipknot this year," and I was like, but she didn't. It's like. Her, I hate to say this, but like her picture did not match her interest. She's like a 5'2" blonde, curvy Puerto Rican woman. So like,
right
like she's but like petite though, like not.
Yeah.
She's not, you know what I mean. So gorgeous, like, and had like she was in one of her pictures was she was in her business attire.
She looks a little more innocent than the casual metal fan.
Yeah, then the other one was she was like going to like a club or something and other stuff like that. But all her interests like aligned with all mine. She was into martial arts, heavy music, all that stuff and everything. So I was like, holy crap! I just hit the lottery, like, And when we hit it off, and ever since we started talking, like we never stopped talking, and it wasn't anything but honesty. So yeah, that's actually how we met was over that. And I never had a preference for either or like anything. It just was like I thought she was good looking and her interests aligned with mine, and we just kind of matched. And I couldn't believe it, like what we have today. So that's kind of how it is.
It's all working out, dude.
Yeah.
But the influence definitely shines through in your music, though. Like you can. Yes, your guitar riffs have like a hardcore influence and background to them, but it definitely leans to metal as well.
Yeah, I love metal. I didn't want to leave the metal behind at all.
Well, I think like I appreciate that, and I like when bands try to like set themselves apart from just like they don't have a designated person that they want to sound like. Like everybody has their influence and everything, and that is what it is. But like when a band tries to specifically be like, we're going to sound exactly like Strife, or we're going to sound like Hatebreed, or we're going to sound like etc., it pigeonholes them, like it boxes them into where they don't get to really, you're like, yeah, that's that band that sounds like Strife. It's like Greta
Yeah,
Van Fleet with how they sound like Led Zeppelin. Um,
it
it
it definitely
just
does.
like
Yeah.
I don't know. I like it because sometimes hardcore can really and even any music, death metal, it can blend together. So when people do and take the extra step to stand out, I always appreciate that in a band.
Yeah, and one thing that so to what you said to that is I've been in bands where you like give yourself too much space and then you end up just sounding like a bunch of different riffs or not really having you have to have some sort of direction. So what I did
Right.
was I boxed myself in first. Like I said, I gave myself some bands and kind of like, all right, I want to take these three influences rather than be like our influences are like in name 20 bands, you know? Like there's like hundreds of bands that I listen to that I love, but let me take this as like put a microscope to these bands, and then within that I'll kind
Sure.
of start expanding because
It was
I
like
made
you
the mistake.
used them as
Yeah,
your foundation and then built on top of
exactly,
them.
exactly. Yeah, because I've made the mistake before of like being like, let's do everything that everyone likes, and it's like, no, you gotta like kind of hone it in and then expand on your talents from
Right.
there, or just see how it feels, because that gives you that's how I was able to do what I was able to do with this project, which I think is different than the other ones I've done as far as like really executing. So that's why I appreciate being a little older and having the opportunity to do this because I've had things I've learned that I wanted to try and achieve that I wasn't able to do with other projects. So
And as a guitar player, like I used to strum a guitar with another guy, and that was like you were saying, we'd run into that problem where it's like, well, we both like The Cure, we both like Hatebreed, Dying Fetus, The Circle Jerks, Ted Nugent, and Tupac. And then like we could never. It was a lot of fun, but we never got anything done. You know,
yeah, you kind of have to have like someone that's gonna say like, all right, let's cut it off here and try
for
this, or
sure.
like, no, this is good. And I usually kind of like become the designated like band practice director, I guess. And I'm not an asshole about it at all. Like we try everything that everyone wants to do. But you know, I can usually just like I'm really good at figuring out what people can and can't do or like what they want to try to do and everything like that. So I'll be like, oh, all right, this is what the drummer does well. This is what the singer does well. This is what the other guitarists and bassists do well.
Do you write the lyrics or does your
I,
brother?
so the whole band was the Cold Case. I wanted to call the band Cold Case because I wanted to base it off of like personal experience and stuff like like things that you would go through in life. So
Yeah.
I like basically like there's parts of you that you gain and there's parts of you that you lose. So like to me that's like the whole Cold Case aspect. Like that part dies off so another part can live, like other things like that. We all have like stuff that makes us jaded or different things. So I kind of gave him the concept like how many experiences have you had that where you could have died or like that were killing you inside and things like that, because that's the tone that I want to grab with this, like things that could have ended your life, mistakes you've made, certain feelings of like despair or whatever that you went through. So like let's call this Cold Case. Let's start to focus on that. So he focused on a lot of that stuff. All his lyrics are his own. The only thing that I wrote was the little anthem Beyond Recognition at the end of the
Okay.
first EP called Beyond Recognition, and then I would help him fill in little spots here and there. But he really took off with it. I mean,
Yeah, those lyrics are
he's
great. So tell them
yeah,
from us, man. Like, fuck, congratulations. Those are good.
yeah, he really did it. He really felt it. I mean, he really had all that stuff. So it's the real deal when it's coming out of him. And we kind of just we're all this. I mean, me and him lived lived similar, had similar thoughts and everything.
Oh, for
So
sure.
it's yeah. So it's good to see him get it out. It's good to share it with him. And I kind of I feel more comfortable using an instrument to get it out. But I have no problem putting pen to paper. Or I mean, I do a lot of the backups on that album, and then on Cold Case Crew at the end, I'll be doing some of the backups. But Nick and Jared, the guitarist and bassist, are more comfortable singing while they're playing, so they'll just
Okay.
Nick's a good backup, and Jared's a good backup. So they just want to take the mic and they want to yell too, which is cool. Like I've never seen other band members be so passionate about screaming lyrics too. So that's how you know that my brother did a good job, because the other guys were like, we want to sing too. So they just love like singing and playing too,
Oh,
which is
and
awesome.
it looks good though too, man, from an
Yeah.
audience point. Like, oh shit. You
Yeah,
guys
when
know
you're
what's up.
when you're watching a band and everybody, the whole
Yeah.
band's having fun,
You
not
know.
just like the singers going nuts and the guitar players like
Looking down the whole time. That's what I'd
looking
be
down.
doing.
Yeah. No, it's awesome to see. I really appreciate it. The reason why I don't like sing live is because I have a severe hand injury, so I gotta focus on playing a little bit more. I can still jump around and have fun, but it might be a little bit too much to try and like sing and like keep track of like what my hand's doing, because sometimes it does get wicked tired. So when I was in college, I labored for a construction company, and I ended up getting my hand crushed by a front end loader, and they were gonna like amputate my middle finger, ring finger, and pinky, and I was just gonna have like a crab claw basically.
Uh-huh.
But they ended up saving it, so I've had like 24 to 30 hours of surgery, and that was 10 years ago. But I had to get skin grafts. It was a degloving, severing, tearing, and one other injury. So like my bones were crushed, my skin was ripped off, my arteries were exposed, and like I was, just it would look like I fucking caught a grenade. It was disgusting.
Damn, it's surprising you
yeah.
don't have like a bionic hand.
That's why I don't like working in shops, man.
Yeah. So there was a hand specialist there that day. They asked my age, what I like to do, all that stuff. And this was at Mount Auburn Hospital, and I lucked out that he was there, because they were gonna just cut him off. And he goes, "Oh no, I'm gonna try and save him." So he did it, and gradually, like things just started working out, and my hand works. Like you wouldn't even know if I didn't show you, but I can only open it so much, and when I close it, I can't bend my knuckles in a certain way. But it's strong enough where I can do a pull up on it. I mean, they're good enough where I can like play the guitar, and it's just like arthritis here and there, or it gets tired. So that's why I probably could push myself to sing during shows, but I also just like to play the guitar anyway. So if someone else wants to sing, that's fine. And if someone wants to ask me to do a backup, I'll do a backup for the album. But that's about it. I just really enjoy the fact that I'm playing and having a good time that way. So
yeah, I really dig that fucking Crucified song. That sounds similar to that other song, you know. I mean,
a lot of people,
man,
yeah,
that
a lot
is
of people are
such a
saying
cool fucking riff, dude.
I didn't even realize that it sounded like HopeCon
Yeah,
until
Divinity Sickness is the name of their song for anybody out
yeah.
there.
Yeah, and then but it kind of does, but that wasn't on purpose at all, because I wasn't even a huge Hope Conspiracy fan. Like when I went back and listened to them, I was like, oh, this band's pretty cool, but it was not quite my style of what I'm into. So it wasn't in, like, I don't even know how that would have been an influence at all, because it wasn't in my library really. The only album I had was Cold Blue, that I like listened to once.
Yeah,
and then I was like, I don't know if I like
the
this.
band, so it stood out to me like quite quick, but it's still different. It's just like I thought that was like a huge influence. That's why. And then you're like, everybody asked me that.
Yeah, they do, and it's crazy because they like, if I had to tell you a band that I've listened to the least, it would be them.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah. And no disrespect to them, because when I see the body of work that they've done and like how influential they are, it's crazy. So I respect it, but they're just not my, like, not one of my bands that really like turns me on, So,
oh, for sure.
Yeah. Different strokes for different folks.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So does the Boston weather like affect your hand and stuff? How it, like the cold and everything?
Yeah, my hand was like 2 days ago when we had a shift from like 17 degrees to 50 degrees. Like it felt like my fingers were going to explode, and then
like the humidity and stuff.
Yeah, and then after that went away. But I mean, I've been dealing with this for since 2008. So it's gotten worse as I've gotten older, but not. I mean, it's nothing that I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna cry. It's just like
Right.
sometimes, like I said, it's just that I have to understand when they get tired and how to push them and stuff like that. But it's not,
Yeah, you learn how to live
from
with the situation.
yeah. So that's really it. It's not a huge deal. It's just something stupid that happened and I got through. And honestly, it helped define a lot of my life. So like I wouldn't really change the fact because it helped me show myself like the type of person I am. I've had a couple of things that have happened to me, like not
Or you had to
like
face
the
adversity and fucking
yeah
reach down
yeah
inside and be a fucking man,
yeah
basically.
yeah. There's a couple things. One of them was like a decade long thing that I don't really want to like
No,
talk
no,
about
no,
too
no.
much, but
No,
yeah,
we don't have to get into any
like
of that.
yeah, but I had a pretty hardship where I had to realize some things like what I was going through, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is crazy!" So, to come out of that and then have meet my wife, that I have now from that, it was huge. Let's just say, someone wasn't too kind to me for a long time, and like it was just a hard thing to handle, and it was a lot of emotion involved, and I had nothing but love for that person, and I think at one point they had that for me, but there was a lot involved. There was some collateral damage and stuff like that, and I don't hold anything against anyone. It was just a difficult situation, and I'm glad that both of us are doing okay, and that's like the most important thing, and that I get to live like a good part of my life now, and hopefully they're doing the same. So that's really all I'll say about that. But that was tough. That was a hard situation to be in, and that defined me a lot about how I handled that. So, but that's like not something now that I like really put out into the public. But it's part of also why I was missing music too, because music is a huge thing I used to cope, and a healthy outlet. So I really
Yeah,
that's why I like music a lot. So yeah,
Yeah, music's definitely my therapy for
yeah,
sure.
and it's cheaper.
yeah.
Well, actually, it's more expensive than
Yeah,
a
it's getting a little
therapist.
pricey now because I think you can get free ones on Skype.
Yeah. So you guys
Yeah.
put out 2 EPs last year, one at the beginning of the year and another one towards the end of the year. The second one was There Will Be Blood. Do you guys
Yeah.
have plans to try and release a full length coming up next, or are you sticking with EPs for now?
I think we're gonna do a full length. We're supposed to like do kind of like a Frankenstein album with 1054, where we took some of Beyond Recognition and There Will Be Blood and kind of put it as like a
Like
you
a
know
like a
like a
comp.
double package thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But like so, I recently just got some news. We're trying to figure out what to do with this. The information that so we took a break. We're sorting it out. Brother has baby. Wasn't sure what he was going to do, so he's not coming back. So we're gonna take Nick, put him to vocals. We're getting a guitarist who played in the band. He used to play in Dysentery. He used to play in Before I Had Wings. And we're gonna move him to guitar, and then Nick is gonna sing. He has a similar voice to my brother, but what we're gonna do, because it's like kind of a new chapter of the band, is we're gonna go to drop A. So we're gonna get even heavier, and I have like a bunch of riffs that I've been writing in drop A, and I think it's gonna be really good. It's gonna be a different approach, similar style, heavier and a little bit more tailored to Nick, but I don't think we're gonna lose anything that like the band has kind of strived for. I think we just gotta work through it to like define the sound this way and pick up from when we left off. So I think it's gonna be like a fresh take on the band.
Yeah.
And
I mean, plenty of other bands have successfully changed singers and gone on
It just
to
sounds like
have
evolution
long,
of the
long
band,
careers.
man. I
Like
think it's gonna be great.
Cannibal Corpse switched singers, Dying Fetus switched singers, and they're both and other bands spawned from those. So
yeah, we weren't sure if we were gonna just do a different project, if we were gonna try and play the same songs or whatever. But I kind of think, I really care about my brother. I care about what he's done, and I kind of want to keep that chapter sacred. So we
yeah,
might be playing one or two of those songs in drop A, like seeing which ones fit. but we're
Right.
gonna write a whole new thing and do like a new chapter. And we just realized we're thinking about it too much, and we just realized that we're in the driver's seat and we can do what we want. And it's not like we're going to go play punk or some other style of music that like wouldn't really fit like the name. We're just gonna play the same stuff a
Heavier.
little heavier
Yeah.
and like still bring that ferocity. And I found like one thing that with growing older and recognizing things is I realized to pay attention to time signatures too a lot. Like not just be like, oh, this is a fast riff, this is a slow riff. And with the last album, I don't know if you noticed the There Will Be Blood album. So the first album, Beyond Recognition, was like 140 to 160 beats per minute or whatever. It was kind of like hung around in that frame, which is good, but I felt like the pace could have been pushed a little bit more. So I found out the sweet spot for us is 160 to 180 beats per
Nice.
minute, where we get a little bit more like aggressive. It punches you in the face a little bit harder. And the C tuning, it was nice. I was like, all right, we're getting some like that end of Plagued. Like I don't know if you that riff where it's like yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that
It's
like
like
I was like, holy
almost
shit.
like a what, like a 573,
Yeah,
573. Yeah.
yeah, but I was like, that picks up real nice, and like that's the type of speed like I want to hit when something hits you. It was like nice chokes right there and everything like that, and it complemented that kind of like the slower pace with that little chorus in there and everything. So I was starting to figure out the dynamic between actually like recognizing the time signature to where it picks up and slows down, and like noting that that's what the time is in, rather than just be like, oh, we'll wing it in recording and figure out the time signature then. So now I'm taking the time ahead of time to really be like, I want the riff here. Where does it flow between 170 and 180? Is it like 160 or whatever? And I'm doing that with drop A to make sure that it doesn't sound like sludge and everyone's just sitting there like waiting for like a fast part. So I
Right.
want
Yeah,
I want
yeah.
it I want it to I want it to come in and like capture your attention. So in order to do that, like recognizing the time signature plays a huge or beats per minute, I guess, plays a huge part in it, and it's really helped me out on this. Like discovering that with those two albums, it's really helped me out on this one. So I think I'm gonna have some good stuff. It sounds so heavy, it's ridiculous, but it's not like sludge. So I think it's gonna be awesome. I'm really excited for it.
Have you guys already started writing music for that?
Yes, and it's like I didn't think it was going to sound that heavy, but it does, and it's not distorted at all. It's clear. It's gonna just like it's just gonna be. I think it's gonna be awesome. And I'm still gonna incorporate those harmonies and stuff, but I'm gonna do them in a little bit different way. I just gotta figure out the scale and how that kind of matches up to get the same type of tone, because it could go. It could veer to like I'm trying to make it. You know how there's like those like Egyptian kind of like harmonies, like Nile and all that stuff. Like I'm trying to
Yeah.
stay away from those. When you go to drop A, sometimes those ones kind of it's
Creep
easier to
in.
hit those. Yeah, yeah, and I like more like a little bit like you said the darker type ones, but more like of a melody versus like I'm not trying to sound like I'm playing the I don't know.
I
I'm
love
just trying.
I love Nile.
Yeah, yeah, I
Oh,
like
I
Nile
love
too,
Nile too.
but
Nile's a great fucking band.
yeah, yeah. I love Nile. I love Nile too. And what they do is awesome. But I just want to like make sure we stay. I try and take as much of what I can from the previous albums and incorporate that into A, but make it different. So
Right. You don't want the next album to be like, wait, is this the same band? And then people
yeah,
have to go back, like, what the hell happened?
yeah. I want them to be like, "What the hell happened?" but in a good way,
Right.
and appreciate both of them and be like, "Oh, Jesus," you know what I mean? But I just don't want them to be like, "What are they trying to do?" I just want them to be like, "Okay, they had a lineup shift. They got heavier. I see why they did that. This is awesome."
When do you
That's it.
expect we could possibly hear anything from that?
I'm gonna get a first song done probably in the next month or so, and
Quick.
then we got a friend he's gonna let us go to his studio and do like a sampler track, just so people can kind of get a hint of what we're doing, and then we're just gonna go balls to the wall to get like 6 or 8 more down. and so hopefully we'll be ready to play end of April, May. And what's crazy is like when we were first getting started and we put that EP out, we're like, this EP is good. We're definitely gonna get someone's gonna ask us to play. It took so long to like figure out how to get a show, just because getting back in the scene, even though we had members in the scene, it was like, man, the well is dry. Like, what the hell's going on? So then we got back in, and we kind of were like, all right, we're plodding along, and we got a decent amount of recognition. But even then, I was talking to some other bands that were getting started, and like, man, it's hard out here to get shows on. And we're like, yeah. And then we started just kind of doing it ourselves and trying to book friends, and friends were booking us and everything. And then we got this nice little kind of community going on, and it worked. And so now that we're like, okay, we're stopped. I got like 10 to 12 show offers when I wasn't looking for it. And I was like, damn it, what the hell is this shit?
Happens that way.
So yeah. So it's good. We're excited. We have some stuff that I think we'll get lined up. So which is cool. And there was a venue that I kind of got started with that. I don't know if you've seen that Peace on Fire booking group that kind of books near us.
Yeah.
The Waltham venue that we've had a couple shows on. One was we had this big like Toys for Tots or something there. I didn't put that on, but I'm responsible for locking in the Waltham venue, which is like a 300 capacity venue. So I've done I helped them with one show there. I put my own show on, and then I gave them a date to do that show. And then hopefully now they have that, because I put him in contact with the owner of that. So now hopefully they have that for whenever they want to do a big show or whatever. And I'm glad that I was able to like not just be the only contact on that, which is, I feel like a lot of people do that. They're like, oh, it's my thing. Like, I'm going to hog it. And I try and spread the wealth, whether it comes back to me or not.
Yeah.
Whether it comes back to me or not, I just feel like that's the right thing to do, because feeling like how it was to kind of struggle to even get a first show, even though I was in the scene for like so long, it's like, it's almost like you have to be like reprove yourself every time. Which is the only thing. Which is the only thing I don't really like, because, life happens, and I hate to say it, but there's other things other than hardcore, like, and there's other things other than metal. Like, I love the music.
How could you fucking say that, man?
yeah. Dude, if you say that to people, they're like, man, we live this shit. But it's like,
fucking sell out.
Look, yeah. It's like, you're not part of our space. Like, you're the problem. It's like, it's like, dude, like, there's fucking other things, and like, you have to. I don't know. It's not just all about that.
I'll be honest. On a side note on that, I see less and less of that as time goes on, though.
Oh, I see.
Less elitism, it seems like.
I see it the other way.
Do you?
Really?
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Well,
Come to the Midwest.
I guess if like maybe, I don't know, because I don't see many older guys doing it, like, because a lot of them are like calmed down at this point. So maybe it's like the younger kids that feel like they have something to prove, that are kind of like, if you're not fucking balls to the wall hardcore all the time, like, you ain't in this shit, like, fuck off, get out of here.
It's a mixture. I think it's a mixture of the passing of the torch and trying to figure it out. I mean, there's a lot of good people in the scene, and but there's just.
But I think that probably happens in every scene. I mean, like, metal probably has shit. I'm sure even like EDM has that or something to some extent.
Yeah, I mean,
I think hardcore's its own unique thing, though.
It is, but at the same time, there's a ton of similarities to every other.
Oh, well, sure, it's music, but at the same time, it's like we could go on a whole tangent.
I kind of get sick of the political aspect being brought into hardcore and stuff. Like, I know it's supposed to be a space to like get everything out and whatever, but a lot of people like preaching a lot of different things, like, don't even like
I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
They don't even know what the fuck they're talking about, like, or take the time to even like understand what they're talking about. And that's why I believe in personal experience and what you've experienced, more so than trying to just like extrapolate
like
from Instagram or set an agenda or whatever, because all you're really doing is you're just mirroring what's going on outside of hardcore, bring it into hardcore, and then you're poisoning hardcore. Like, just show up to shows, like, be violent,
Yeah.
and have fun, like, and everyone accept that people are going to be violent because it's violent music, and like get out there. Like I think that part is what people are trying to preach and have come back, which is what I appreciate. But then I think the other part is kind of like you have this like popularity contest, which like you can kind of get sucked into like participating, because I know when I first started I was like reaching out to old friends and stuff like that, and kind of like, oh, I got a project, and like I was a little bit too much, too eager, and wasn't out, like I wasn't not being myself, but I was kind of like, I want to get this project and like telling people about it and telling people about what I had going on, and I should have just like focused a little bit more on just
Like doing it.
doing it, and like you can fall into that trap because like the who's who of the scene, right? You know what I mean? So like who to kind of reach out to and everything, but at the same time, like we just figured it out on our own anyway. So that's like the whole like allure, I guess, of it is just kind of like pick a road and probably take your own road, and is the best bet, like just take the quieter road.
The most authentic way to go about it. Like, be yourself in the music. Don't try to emulate something else that isn't you just because you heard this band do it or you heard this band do it. Like, maybe they had a different experience than you did in that, and they have grounds to talk about that shit on, and you don't. Like, stay in your lane and write what is true to you. Don't try to be somebody you're not.
Well, not even so much that I'm talking about that, but I'm just talking about like there's people that I knew that like control venues and stuff like that or things, but do I have any business talking to them? I don't know. I just reaching out to say like, hey, I started and I want to play a show here or whatever. But was I ready to play a show there? I was just trying to get us to get on a show, or something. And I should like, my thing is just, don't bother people. Just do what you got to do, and you'll figure it out. That was it. That was like kind of something I learned getting back into it, which sounds stupid, but
no, I mean, letting things fall into place can be a good route to go, because that way you don't seem like you're begging somebody to get on a bill or whatever, and they're like, well, I don't want this band, he keeps bothering me.
Exactly, which is kind of like you want to promote your band, but just like stay in your own lane and do what you got to do, and eventually you'll get there. And because I guess what I'm getting at is you waste a lot of time and energy worrying about like, are you going to get accepted to get that show as your band? And then if it doesn't happen, you're like, oh, nobody likes my band. And you start like taking it personal. That's kind of like,
I think becoming a parent gets rid of a lot of that shit too, man.
Yeah. But that's kind of what I'm talking about from experience. I think I've been so eager to try, and I'm like, this project is good, I'm going to get this out the door. And that's just something that you learn, because I've always been humble and respectful and everything. I've never been like, oh, well, whatever, and like pissed off or treated someone like shit. But that's the one thing that's, fuck you. I just kind of like, all right, well, I'll do it my way and figure it out and whatever. Right. But I did let that get to me a little bit too much. So I guess if anyone's starting a band or starting to get into the scene, and kind of who's at the top of the scene and who's doing what and everything, if you reach out to them and whatever, and it doesn't go your way, like just do it your own way, and eventually your band will start making traction. And don't take it personal if you're not in the clique per se or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's like, that's the only thing, because like I know who I am as a human, and like the amount of respect I have and everything and what I stand for. But like I told you, this is where the thing is like, I have a bunch of different lives that I live, and like hardcore is a part of it. So like I can't attend every single show. I can only do what I can do. But when I do what I do, I try to take other people along with me, whether it's get a venue going or tell someone about a slot that's open on a show, or go try and make it to a show, or do something, or like donate to someone, or something like that. I try and like make my time in the scene as giving as I can, as much as I'm trying to like take to like get my band to go. You know what I mean? I don't want to like just be like, what about me? I want to try every time I try and put my band on, I want to try and put someone else on or whatever. So, because I only have so much time in it. That's where I'm coming from with that.
And it's
So
an admirable thing too, because some people get selfish and want only things for themselves or their own band. And when you're a person that helps build other people up, like that builds a community around you and your band, and gives you the reputation of that, to where people are going to want to play shows with you or have you on a bill, or do features or anything like that. Like, you build a reputation for yourself.
yeah, one thing I try to do too is if like someone's offering a service, I don't try and take it from them. I try and say like, let me give you some like cash for it or whatever. Like some people are like, oh, I'll film you or whatever, or I'll
Yeah.
Try to
stuff
make
like
it
that. I'm like,
square.
yeah, I try and do that or
even offer
something.
service for service if you can, or whatever the case may be. Like,
Yeah,
Before
I always try and make it square in the moment, and then I try and remember them to come back to them later on to give them a boost.
yeah.
Again. So it's like I don't just be like, oh, here's one transactional thing and we're done. I try and like keep in mind like, were they good to me? Like, is there an opportunity I can plug them later on to or something like that? So
Right.
Well, speaking of like people helping you out, you said that a friend of yours, Maddie, because I wanted to
yes.
bring this up before it got too late, that you guys actually have a cold case BHC video on YouTube for Cold Case Crew.
Yep.
And I think it's fucking awesome, man. I was like super excited to find that when I did, but the venue
Yeah.
seems so narrow. Like, how was it playing there?
That was at a basement of a tattoo shop. It was called Top Shelf Tattoo in New Hampshire, and we got asked to play that by Iron Gate, who's an awesome band. It was them, Die Nameless, Cannabis Crypt, and I forget who else was on there. I think Search Warrant was on there. Search Warrant's blowing up. They're awesome. They're doing a lot of great stuff. And Matty Montana, he's been filming since a little bit before the pandemic, and he comes out to the shows, on his own accord, films. He's also been responsible for putting a bunch of venues, helping out with the Hingham venue, which I think he was a part of that. He's part of that group. Who there's two like major booking companies like in the scene that people know. One is Peace on Fire, which used to be Vanguard. The other is Gatekeeper, which does a lot of like the Brockton stuff and everything. And they're keeping the scene alive. And Maddie is one of the main filmers. There's Shot Down Media. I think John and Joe Media is still doing it. She was someone that's doing it. And there's mainly shows, which is like more of a Maine based one. Shot Down Media is based out of Maine, but he travels a good amount. Mainly starting to travel now. And then there's a few other people, like a lot of good photography. Ian Ray photography. There's Todd Follett, who does really good photography. And I'm trying to think about a few other people. I think there's someone named Vlad that's doing photography too. I'm not sure. It's hard to like remember all the names, but yeah, all those people, they're keeping the scene going, keeping all the shots going, so people are getting hyped up on it and traveling.
good to hear.
And
some of that photography stuff, like the shots that I see some bands get with, especially like I see this a lot now where there's tracers with lights a lot of times.
Dude,
I love the way those shots look like, and I think the photographers do the band like they do right by them, but because that's advertisement. Like, people see that on Instagram, they see it at like they were like, oh, I was at that show and I got this fucking picture of it, and they just turn out awesome.
Yeah, and then there's the tried and true, which is Return of the Pit, which everyone knows. I mean, that guy's been doing that for years. He's an OG. So, but yeah, Matty has been recording live shows, and then he had a thing out where he wanted to try to do a video. So I hit him up, and I was like, dude, I want to pay you to do our video. Like, come out and do it. Would you be interested to come out and do it? And he was like, oh, hell yeah, man. So he came out and he drove to New Hampshire to shoot the video, and he was great. He would send me stuff, and he'd be like, do you like this? And I liked everything he sent me. We were just trying to make sure that the pace matched the song. So that was like the only critiques we had going back and forth. Like, oh, maybe cut that like a few seconds here and throw one more clip in, and that was it. And it was just kind of like, DIY, like a raw take of the set. and it worked out great. He was awesome to work with. I know he wants to do more videos like that. So yeah, it's there's a couple people like in the scene that have really kind of pushed us along. One of the members of opposition and opposition themselves have been great. Search Warrant's been great to us. Iron Gate, Heavyweight, Gum Scab. I'm sure you've seen flowing around. We're friends with them. They've done a lot for us. We've tried
like
to do
heavyweight with Chubbs.
heavyweight, heavyweight from New Hampshire. There's a band
different
out of New
heavyweight.
Hampshire. Yeah. I think there's a couple heavyweights. Yeah, but this is heavyweight from New Hampshire, and
Check that one out.
dude, they're heavy. And I'm trying to think who else. Oh, there's a couple bands up and coming. Die Nameless is like a noisy orthodox type band. They just put something new out. Cannabis Crypt is a band that has been around for a while. They're obviously like a weed influenced band.
Yeah, it's like Cannabis Corpse.
Yeah. And but they're really heavy. And then obviously like we have some new like up and coming, but like, like Death Before Dishonor was like the staple of like Boston for a while.
Mhm.
Now you have Street Power, and Colin of Arabia has been revived like with their new album. I mean, they've always been like, you see them play and you're always like, holy shit, they're playing. But like with their new album, they're like back to playing regularly, so that's awesome to see. That definitely boosts the scene. And then you have the Conservative Military Image Band, which is kind of a mix between Boston and Chicago, but they come over here and like revive, that revives the scene, and there's like a whole new like revival of like punk happening that I had no idea about. And it just seems like
got
that
to see those two bands and at Black Christmas. It was fucking they're awesome, dude. Conservative Military Image and COA.
Yeah. Chris of Conservative Military Image and Street Power was really good when I first got started with Cold Case. I asked him a couple questions, like things that like I had stepped away from and didn't really know how to use for a bit. I asked him like, what's the best platform to put your music out on? And he told me CD Baby, and I did that, and that's been awesome. And then a couple other things like what did you do when you did this?
That's
so
great.
And so he was cool, and he's got his own recording studio now, Old Salt Recordings, that he's putting a lot of bands on with, and he's doing that, and he's in those two bands. So I appreciated what he had to offer and everything. So it was cool talking to him about that, him being a local guy. And he recorded the Give Up Hope album, which the other members of my band, Pat and Jared, are in. So he did that, and that album sounds sick. So if you want to hear what he can do recording, definitely check that out. I think he did most of his Street Power stuff, but I think he might have had it mastered somewhere else. But I know that he did the Give Up Hope stuff top to bottom. He did the Search Warrant stuff, which is great. So yeah, just shout out to trying to put on those guys, locally.
We got a laundry list now, man. Appreciate it.
We always have a list.
That's what I love about doing this, man, is like we get just as much out of it as you do, as far as like promo. We're like, oh my God, we got like lists of bands to check out.
If you like slam, we have legends out of Boston. Have you heard, Dysentery?
Yep.
Yeah, Dysentery, number one. And that's actually my favorite genre of music, to be honest. Like, my favorite bands right now are Within Destruction, which is like kind of like a slam hybrid. Ingested, same thing. And then I like Peeling Flesh, Devourment. Try to think who else. And then I like the beatdown stuff like Snuffed on Sight and all those. But like, I'm huge into that. That's why you hear all those like when it hits in Cold Case. That's why it hits, because
like
I'm constantly listening to that. Yeah.
I'm a fan. My kid actually got me into Devourment because I'd never really listened to him, but like he's big into that stuff too. So he was like, "You ever hear this band, Dad?" And he's
in all honesty, out of all those bands, that's the only one that I recognize out of the names.
Devourment's sweet. I like him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then I'm trying to think. I think the only other, like, one of the big staples we have is Risk. They're another huge band that's been doing it for a long time, and I actually used to play with them when I played in this band Reckless, which was like a Merrimack Valley hardcore band, which that was a whole other era in the hardcore scene near us. So it's cool to see them still doing it for as long as they've done and going strong. So some of the stuff, like I was telling you about the scene, has come back to me where, you know, I had these people remember me, and some of it is like I have to get back into it and just, you know, just kind of like on my own terms. So
Right.
it's good to have some familiar faces and have and then also have new experiences at the same time. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Before a couple things before we wrap things up here. One, do you have anything that you would like to get off as far as social media plugs or just shout outs or anything like that?
pretty much shouted out most of the people that I could in the scene.
Yeah, I know you just went on a list,
let's
but
see.
I was like,
Let me see.
maybe he's got one thing.
There's Sophisticated Adult. That band's awesome. They're like a kind of like, do you guys remember Heavy Low Low or like any bands like that? It's like if someone took hardcore metal and then mixed it with like noisecore kind of type stuff, like Number 12 Looks Like You
Yeah, I remember
type stuff
that
too.
band.
Like, and that band's awesome. So they're another one. And Garrett from that band is in a bunch of other projects too. Lousy, Haywire,
Haywire's dope.
Buried Dreams. Garrett plays in Buried Dreams too. So yeah,
I know that
all those
band as
guys. Yep. So yeah, he's definitely a person to shout out, and has doing a lot of stuff in the scene. A lot of bands put us on our second show. I think we asked him. We had a date that fell through, and we asked if we could just hop on. We were unknown, and he was like, "Hell yeah!" We were the first band that played, and he and everyone tore it up for us, and it was cool. It's like he put us on a show, and then like, you know, set it off for us too. So that was awesome. Other than that, I mean, just there's so many bands doing so many things, and I guess the one point I would want to get across is these people are not your competition; they're your friends. You know, try and bring each other up. Be receptive. You know, not everybody communicates the same way or has the same communication style, but as long as everyone's being respectful, like, you know, try and work with them, and, you know, just don't take yourself so serious. It's just be humble about what you're doing and understand that there's other things in life to worry about versus getting consumed by the hardcore scene. You know, enjoy the scene for what it is, make it a place that you can go to it. Like, you know, if you're going to go to a hardcore show, expect that you're going to let off some steam, and other people are going to let off some steam, and it's no harm, no foul. You know, if there's like a legitimate person preying on people or like a predator there, whatever, that's a different story. You know, like someone just going there to like target people. But if there's people just going off and smashing you or whatever, it's going to happen, you know. And same thing with like the music. If it's not your thing, then just leave, you know.
Exactly.
If you want to be there, be there. If you don't want to be there, don't be there. That's the biggest thing, I think. But mostly at the end of a show, you always see like that relief from everybody, like, oh, I got out what I had to get out, or like, this is awesome, or whatever. And like, whether you go all the time or you're able to go a little bit, like whenever someone wants to attend a show or chooses to play a show, they were ready to do it at that day, and they had to get something out. So just respect that, you know. That's all. That's really it. And have a good time.
Yeah, I fully agree with all that.
Yeah.
And one more thing that we always ask everybody on the show, like right at the end when we're getting ready to wrap up.
I can't wait.
Jeremy's running to the bathroom. Yeah, you can do it. But we always ask people, since him and I are both into various different kinds of music, metal, jazz, hip hop, soul music, Motown, everything. We always ask people, what is something that you listen to that people wouldn't expect you to listen to?
I think I like appreciate pop music more than like the melody, because I'm really into melody. So just any sort of like, I'll throw on like pop music here and there, or maybe I'll put on like Jammin' or something like that. And I don't know, just like every once in a while I'll need like maybe a small break or just want to hear some other influence, and I'll just listen to like whatever's on Jammin' 945 or I don't know, Kiss 108 or whatever, and just throw that on for a bit.
Cool.
Because they have some, you know, whatever is just to see what like is currently playing. So like if I switch it up, I'll do that, or I'll listen to maybe some older rap from like my like middle school era, you know, when that was kicking around. And now we do have a lot of Latin music playing in my house because of my wife. So
Right.
I'll listen to that. I'll listen to that too, which is awesome. And then yeah, so that's about it. And then I think you guys asked about plugin Instagram page, which I missed. So if you follow us on Instagram, it's Cold Case BHC for Boston Hardcore. Is the name. Just look us up and you'll see our link tree. It'll take you to all our music. And yeah, we're gonna still keep going. We're gonna get a little heavier, but we're gonna have some fun with it.
Yeah. As far as your Instagram goes and Bandcamp and all that, I'll have all of that linked in the episode description. So for anybody listening, go to the episode description, click that, follow them. I do look forward to hearing like what the band brings throughout this year. I know you said you're gonna start doing some recordings more towards the spring, so I'm looking forward to hearing like how the sound shifts with the new singer and everything.
Yeah, and I'll send it to you so you have it. So if you wanted to, whenever it's ready to go, like that way you'll have it for a follow up or whatever. And then yeah, if anybody wants
absolutely.
to reach out to us just to say hello or whatever, feel free to hit us up on the page. And other than that, you'll see us back and even heavier. So
awesome. Well,
yeah.
We really appreciate you taking the time to jump on and talk with us, man. It's been cool getting to know you.
It's finally nice to get to talk to you, Jason, and meet you.
I'm honestly flattered to have the opportunity. I mean, I really appreciate stuff like this. It definitely gives you a boost in. I don't take it lightly, and but I definitely still humble, about where I am with everything. But thank you for, like I said, taking the interest and really wanting to reach out and do this.
Yeah,
congratulations on becoming a father and your brother
as
well.
Yeah, I'll make sure I tell him. And yeah, I definitely want to say like, it's sad that he left. I think we'll be okay as a band, but I do want to note like he really did put something special into it, and it was amazing to be able to do that with my brother too. So I want to pay homage to him before I get off here. And everything he did was real. It was he put himself out there, so that takes a lot of guts to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he helped start something that is awesome. So kudos to him for sure.
Yeah.
But all right, man, we'll let you get going here. And once again, like, we really appreciate it. I'll be in touch with you through Instagram once we get closer to releasing this with promo artwork and all that stuff. So.
And I'll bother you at random times with useless information.
Sounds good. And thank you guys for doing this and giving everyone a platform to promote their band and everything. It's so huge. So thanks for enjoying to do this and taking your time out of your day to do this. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
You enjoy the rest of your day, man. Have a good weekend.
You too. See you guys.
See ya.